Hello and welcome everyone to another StarCraft 2 cast by GLiTCH. Today, we are looking at some ladder games played by me, played by yours truly, on the North American BattleNet ladder, because I played pretty well today. I was on ladder and I tried to stream, but sadly my stream failed because my ISP sucks. So I ended up just playing some games and they ended up being like the best games I've ever played. Like, I've never had such a good spending quotient ever in a game ever. Other than these three games, like, never had one higher than these three games. God, I can't talk today, you guys. My God, I used all my energy playing like a grandmaster on the North American ladder. Anyway, spawning here in the bottom right position as the blue Zerg player, we have GLiTCH, which is me. And spawning in the top left position as the red Protoss player, we have LilSkittles. LilSkittles, who I'm just going to be calling Skittles this game. Now, LilSkittles, oh god. Skittles is just going to be going for a pylon at the front. He's just taking that pylon at the front, and I'm going to be going for a pretty standard Zerg opening here, getting a 14 pool out really early, gets you nice and safe against cannon rushes and things, so you want to be doing that most of the time. There are some players who are starting to get up 15 hatcheries again against Protoss, just because a lot of Protosses are opening with that one base gateway core mothership, and then like they go for their expansion after the gateway and the core. So a lot of players are doing that. So a lot of players, a lot of Zerg players are just going for the 15 hatch these days. But if you really just want to play safe, then you got to go for the 14 spawning pool. You got to do it, because the one time that they do get that this happens, exactly this right here, where they go for Forge first, is the time that you're going to get cannon rushed at your natural or your third, and you're going to have a bad time. So you definitely do not want to be doing that unless you really know what you're doing and you're really good with your drone micro. If you're really comfortable with holding off cannon rushes with drones, by all means do it. Otherwise, do this, do 14 and then 16, much safer. And so yeah, so I am in his base now. I keep this drone in his base. I really want to be sure that this Nexus goes down, because if this Nexus doesn't go down by about the 3-minute and 15-second mark, then I know that he's actually building something somewhere else, right? He's got a bunch of resources that he's not revealing. So I almost always wait until I see this Nexus go down, and then I have this Overlord in his base to be able to see. So now I'm just pulling that drone back on home. And so now back in my base, I'm just getting up more and more drones here. Gonna be getting up a fairly early gas geyser. These days, Protosses like to be aggressive. They like to find ways to be very aggressive. Some Protosses will get up an early 2 gateways and then chrono boost out some early zealots to apply pressure to a fast third to try to punish anyone who goes for a fast third. So I like to have up a pretty early Zergling speed these days to try to get at that map control early on. Now you can see I'm being super active, because in the early game, if you don't get a spot on that probe, and I'm actually looking around the map right now trying to see, it looks like he actually brought that probe all the way back home, but most of the time what Protosses will do is they'll keep their probe hiding around here somewhere, either drop a proxy pylon here or there so that they can start to be aggressive later on once they want to start to do warp-ins on either side of the map. So you're going to see that I'm going to start to be really active. I send them all around the third, send them all around my possible fourths, because those are really common pylon hiding locations, and then after that I'll be taking the watchtowers. 2 queens now coming out here. I already have 1 out on the field, so this is going to be bringing me up to 3 queens. So that I like 3 queens because it allows me to do 2 things. It allows me to start spreading creep, and it allows me to be pretty defensive, nice and defensive against any kind of early void rays and things like that. Notice I'm delaying my third base as well. Third base is generally going to go down around the 6-minute mark for this kind of safer style of play, just because Protoss players these days can come out at you with a lot of early Mothership Core aggression. Is his Mothership Core actually out yet? Looks like no, he doesn't actually have a Mothership Core out. Oh, there we go. Cybernetics Core just now wrapping up for him. So we should be seeing a Mothership Core coming out here very soon. Very critical part of the Protoss defense early on these days. You can see that he is producing a Stalker first, and he's starting a +1 upgrade. This is super important. As a Protoss player, you want to get this upgrade if you're going to be going for some kind of early attack that's going to be Zealot heavy. If it's a very Zealot heavy attack, then what's going to happen is that this +1 allows your Zealots to do 9 damage per hit. So basically, Zealots have 2 side blades, one on each arm. So with every hit, they go ba-boom, ba-boom. They hit twice. They hit twice every single time. So Zealots basically deal 18 damage per hit. That's a lot of damage. A lot of damage per hit. Oh god, actually this Overlord is looking like it's going to go down. I don't remember if I actually lost this Overlord or not. That's actually going to be a kind of a big loss, and it looks like, yeah, that Overlord is going to be falling there, and yeah, that Overlord's going to fall. Try to get it out of there, but nope. The Overlord does go down there, and I do have another one in the back of his base here getting ready to move on in. But what I was saying is that Zealots on their own deal 8 damage per hit. Per arm. So per hit they deal 16 damage, meaning that in 2 hits they deal 32 damage. Now a Zergling has 35 hit points. This means that if you get a +1 attack upgrade, your Zealots will do 18 damage per hit, meaning that in 2 hits they kill a Zergling. This ends up making such a huge difference against Zerglings. Like, you have no idea how fast they die. Now there's a lot of gateways actually being thrown down right now, but they're being split up here by LilSkittles. So I actually went in with this Overlord and I saw, only 4 gateways going down here. So he's either going for a 5 gateway push, because I know that he's got one at the front. So he's either going for 5 gate push, or he's got tech up that I don't know about. So he's either doing that or he's hiding some tech, and I'm actually not going to get back here to see those other ones go down. Yeah, this Overlord's going to go down before that. And, oh, did I see it? I don't think I saw it. I don't think I saw it. No, I did not see the other gateways going down. So at this point, I was saying, you know what? He might have some other tech. Like, maybe he threw down a Stargate at a weird timing that I didn't see it. Maybe he threw down some more gateways down here where I didn't see it. Maybe he threw down a robotics facility. Maybe he threw down a dark shrine. But now I see these moving out with this probe. I end up coming out there, denying that probe, and this is a huge deal, because this is going to delay that push by a lot. This is going to delay that push by so much. And now, notice that I have this third base up and running. Well, it's not up and running. I have a third base, but it's not up and running, right? Like, I don't have any drones mining on it. This is really important these days, because Protoss players like to push out really early. A lot of these pushes come around the 9 or 10 minute mark these days. So as you can see, I'm being really active with these Zerglings, checking on a third, and then I'm coming back at his front, because I want to know what's he got at his front, what's he going to be attacking me with here pretty soon. As you can see, I've got a lot of roaches coming out on the field here, because I want to start to catch his army out early. Another mistake that a lot of Zerg players will do is that they're going to start they'll keep their entire army here, and they'll just do one engagement here all the way at their base where they're losing drones and they're fighting back here. One thing you want to try to do is you want to try to be a little bit aggressive. You want to push out a little bit, try to pick off probes, try to deal damage as he's coming at you. Don't let him be building units right outside your base. And as you can see here, look at this. Look at how fast these Zerglings are dying. They're dying so fast to these Zealots. And I realize that my Zerglings are dying so fast, so I'm pulling back right now, producing lots more Zerglings, producing some roaches here. I've got a good number of roaches already. I'm saturated on 2 bases with just 3 gas, and I've got a +1 attack upgrade about to complete here. Roach speed has also completed as well. Lair tech is done. Hydralisk Den is up, but I don't have time to produce Hydras right now. Now, what do we see going down in his base? But we see the Dark Shrine going down, as well as the +1 ground armor upgrade as well here. But I've got a lot of units here in a good position here on the top of the ramp, and he's got a move command there that's actually going to be a huge deal. And I see that the probe is going down once again, so I start to pick off that pylon, get the pylon, but he's got another one here that he can warp in off of. But now I see that I've got a good number of units, and that he's not going to be able to warp in any for a long time, so I move into position here, surround all of his Zealots there, and now my roaches are dealing a lot of damage to these Zealots here. Roach is picking them off. Even though I'm losing Lings, I'm producing a lot of Lings behind this, trying to keep up with injects as well as I can here. But he's actually going to be going for a little bit of a counterattack here as he's warping in 8 Zealots, which are going to be going for a bit of a counterattack here as all my units are moving across the map here, starting to push at his front here, picking off a lot of the units here. 2 more cannons going down here. Dark Shrine finishes up. I do see that Dark Shrine coming down right now, and I decide, you know what, I'm going to pick off this cybernetic core, but these Zealots are here doing so much damage with it. Focusing down the hatchery, so I pull all my drones off the line here. I've got some Hydralisks here to start to deal the damage here, but that does end up going down. No transfuses go down on the hatchery, and all these Zealots are going to go down here because they were now on a move command. Now, back up in the main of LilSkittles, or the natural rather of LilSkittles, a lot of Dark Templar started to warp out onto the field here. And so I started to take a lot of damage, and I lose a lot of my army. Lost most of my roaches and most of my Lings here. So now I'm in trouble here. Now I'm pulling back home. Gonna go pick off this pylon, and now I know that those are out on the field. So I'm gonna be starting to get... Oh, and there's actually one Dark Templar in my main as well here, starting to deal damage here. Do I have any detection coming down at all? Somewhere I have detection, right? Oh god. Oh, there it is. I was keeping it with my army because after his DTs were taking out my main army up at his natural, then I started to morph an overseer up there. So now I had that detection. So now I'm throwing down spores and spines in every base, trying to be super defensive because I'm feeling pretty good right now. Worker count right now 42 to 40, but I'm on 3 bases. I'm mining on 3 bases here, about to be back on 3 bases anyway, retaking that hatchery. I've got an overlord here denying his 3rd base from going down, not scouting this, which is a little bit of a mistake from me that I'm not scouting this. But what is LilSkittles doing at this point? He's chrono boosting out lots and lots of Archons and Zealots right now. DT's morphing in straight into Archons. Here, so he's going to be transitioning into Zealot Archon, which is really, really strong against this ground-based army. The Zealots tank damage and deal a good amount of damage too, especially when they have this charge upgrade. It allows them to get right on top of those roaches and things, and so the roaches can't kite them. And so now I'm starting to move across the map. I say, you know what? I'm safe against your DTs, and I know that you've spent resources on getting DTs out, so I know that your army is not going to be as big as it could be. So now I'm moving out there. I don't know why this drone is out here, but now I'm going to be moving out. I'm saying, you know what? Time to be aggressive here, so I'm going to push back here. I'm producing a lot of Hydralisks. I've got all my Hydralisk upgrades on the way. I've got a +2 attack upgrade on the way as well. I start to move in here, and it looks like I see a ton of Archons, and this is so many Archons that this is actually scary because those Archons deal a lot of splash damage, so this kind of army is going to die really, really, really fast to it, so I know I'm going to need a lot to be able to deal with this. But I know that he doesn't have a 3rd. I know that he hasn't taken a 3rd yet, and I already checked this location here with this army for a 3rd, so I know that I'm on 3 bases, and I know that I'm fully saturated now on 3 bases. Minerals at least on the 3rd base there, and I think I've got more drones. Yeah, 6 more drones on the way, but now I'm just going straight into Hydralisks. I need to get as much DPS out on the field as I can right now because there are so many Archons coming in. I need to be able to kite them as best as I can. Because Lings at this point are just going to melt to these Archons. These Archons are +1/+1. And so now I'm trying to do as much damage as I can. Once again, look at that. Trying to kite. I want to kite back. I don't want to just sit there tanking damage from those Archons. And I realize how many there are. I pull all of my Hydralisks back behind the roaches. So I want my Hydralisks to be back behind the buildings. Pull all my workers offline because I do not want to die to this attack. I know that if I hold off this attack, I'll be in a good position. So I just don't even think about it. Just pull all of my workers off. Trying to keep my Hydralisks alive. Time Warp goes down there, but it's not a very good Time Warp at this point because all of my units are already up here dealing damage to all of his army there. And it looks like that one Archon getting stuck back there is just not going to be able to be doing it quite enough, and now I end up focusing that down, and now I need to go find out if there are any pylons, and I want to push back, and I want to rebuild this anything that I lost at this base. So as you can see, I'm down to 10 workers here, so I'm rebuilding workers here to try to get back on the gas geysers, trying to get back into minerals here, and once again, I'm on 3 bases, so I'm feeling pretty good at this point. Hydralisk Den is about to research that Hydralisk speed, so at this point I know that I'm just going to push back. I didn't lose too much there. I lost some workers, but that's about it. I'm checking all around for pylons. No counterattacks. I don't want any counterattacks from this guy. I know that he still has no 3rd, so I say I'm in a good spot right now. Food supply is currently 125 to the 73 of LilSkittles, and he's just trying to morph in more Zealot Archon at this point in time, but he's just not going to have that much because he's just been on 2 bases for so long now that he's just not really going to have a whole lot of economy to fall back on. He should have been establishing a 3rd through all of that, but as you can see here, I'm moving up with my army once again, checking in here to make sure that there's no 3rd, which there is not, so I decide to just go straight back here and come into his natural one more time, and my army count's pretty high right now, 150 supply to his 93, so I poke in here, and I decide, yeah, you know what, his army is not that big, I'm just going to go ahead and focus on into that army, but I'm trying to realize those Zealots are actually dealing quite a bit of damage here, so I start to micro back as well as I can. I want to pick off all of these Zealots here before I engage these Archons, and there we go. Once the Zealot count is low enough, now I fully engage these units here, and look at how much damage though, like even though I had a huge army supply, I'm still losing a ton of army there. But now he just doesn't have that much, and he is forced to get out of that game, giving me win number 2 of the night. So thanks for watching, guys. We're going to watch one last game of a ZVZ played by me today. So stick around. Last game, ZVZ with GLiTCH. Yours truly coming up in just a moment.
GG!